Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. Hey, I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering BelAir. This is season 3, episode 6. We've been getting Trinity episodes these last couple weeks. I don't know if that's how Peacock is going to be doing stuff this season. Hopefully we get more than 10 episodes, or who knows. I'm enjoying it thus far. I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video and also subscribe to my channel. Please leave your comments below. I'm enjoying this season so much. I'm enjoying this season so much. I just have to give my accolades to the writers, directors, and producers. Y'all are, I'm not going to say killing it. I'm just saying y'all are on fire and making it do what it do. Because, my God, y'all, every episode has been hitting. And I think in the last video I made, I didn't know that I could actually relate to the Banks children, but I do. They just got a few extra zeros behind their bank accounts, or at least whom they are in relationship with, Mom and Pa Banks. So it's interesting. So anyways, let's get into this episode. All right, so we start off the episode with Will picking up Mama Vi, and they are listening to Poison, Big Bevan DeVoe. So they just jamming, it's driving me out of my mind. Dun, 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 dun. You know, so they jam into that. Back at the house, Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil are greeted by these protesters that are outside of the mansion, and they keep saying give up Camp Square. I guess this is where Mr. Omar wants to build his whatever. He wants to build upon that and tear it down. So Will and Vi, they pull up and they see what's going on. Carlton's on the phone with Amira. Carlton's just discussing his sessions with Spencer. Amira's not feeling it because she feels like, as what Spencer is saying, that look, certain things may be feeling good to you, but it may not be good for you. And it could be just, and then she's like, so I'm just a distraction? And Carlton's like, no, that's not what he's saying. Da, 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 da. I don't understand why you're really going to him, because it just seems like everybody wants to tear us apart. So Amira's very possessive. She seems very manipulative. Anything that someone is trying to say, hey, this may not be good, maybe y'all should take a breather, like back up from each other, she doesn't want it. And she manipulates Carlton in a way. Carlton feels like he needs her. She definitely thinks that she needs him. But she says, you know, no one gets us. And it's not for them to know. Oh, well. So obviously there's a setup for something coming in future episodes where I don't want to say that Amira is just this vindictive person, but her attitude and ways of doing things are quite toxic, even for Carlton. Carlton is stuck between, I want to do good, I want to be on a fresh page. Amira is still trying to keep him in this space that she wants to continuously live in. She said that she's a repeat offender. Now look, we already know Donnie McClurkin's song, we fall down but we get up. It don't matter how many times you fall, you get back up. But repeating the same cycles over and over is still insanity. Alright, so Jeffrey speaking with Penelope, and Penelope starts trying to figure out what is the plan. You know, Jeffrey's like, let's still lay low. At this point, laying low is not helping because it's making things worse. Penelope said that there's one person that can help, and she mentions Roman. This is the one that was supposed to watch out for the family after Jeffrey escaped the whole situation back in England. But Jeffrey said, can we trust him? All right, so we find out that Will and Carlton have sold out all of their shirts. Congratulations, guys. They speak a little bit about Amira. Carlton's like, look, she gets me, and da 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 da. Will is giving a little feedback. You think that your nose is not open to this girl? Like, I don't know, because I still don't see the balance in their relationship, though. Whether you need this person as support. Just saying. So then, all of a sudden, Aunt Viv and Mama Vi, they pop out with their apparel for Black Cess, and they get in on social media. And while Will is trying to promote it on social media with a live video or whatever, or recording, you see that there is some concern in Aunt Vi's face in regards to what Will is doing. So Phil is having a meeting somewhere, it looks like lunch or something, and with another guy. Erica pulls up, and Erica's like, what's this you cutting ties with me for? And Uncle Phil says, I think it's best. And Erica said, you know, you're not just going to be losing the few little ones I have here. Everyone that I brought over to you, of those clients, will come back to her firm. I was like, Lord Jesus. So Erica, you started everything. You kissed him, and then you ended up telling the wife out of guilt. So now you don't want to be... I would think you should be just as understanding as how freaked out you were about being around Vivian. You know what's up. You know that this can't happen again within their marriage. But it seems... it looked like she was... I don't know. It just feels like I'm mixed between how I think about Erica. Because are you upset? Were you really feeling guilty about the kiss? Or what? You know you did something foul and you think that you're going to move on. But I think there's still a desire to be with Phil. So anyways, Erica said, you know, you're about to get a lot of bad press. You're getting a lot of press, and it's going to just continue to mount if you're going to stay with Omar and his firm and all that. And Phil said, you know, basically it is what it is. Carlton and Amira visit Spencer. Amira basically goes off on Spencer. How dare you, blah, 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 blah. Why do you have a problem with me? Da, 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 da. And Spencer's basically being a counselor, saying, I'm not forcing him to do anything. I'm seeing his behaviors. I'm seeing how he could help further his life and all that. And if it does not include you, it doesn't include you right now, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So Amira says, you know what? We can go someplace else to get the type of meeting, because I think she's been skipping meetings, he's been skipping meetings and all that good stuff. So I liked how Spencer handled it. He didn't get personal at all. It's just a spiraling down for Amira. Carlton was upset, like, Amira, why are you trying to do all this stuff after they leave Spencer? And she said, you don't even stick up for me. How come you couldn't say something to him and all that? Do your parents even like me? They hate me. And then Carlton's like, oh no, they love you. and they want to meet you tonight or tomorrow, whatever it was. And then Amira like, okay. Like, oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. This is kind of, it's interesting. So Ashley is jamming with the born male. I'm saying that for a reason. His name is Eli, and they're talking about how he actually, what is his writing style, and he writes about his life. He was bullied. And Ashley does have compassion for him, and they're just really becoming in sync with each other. So Viv comes by and she asks to speak to Ashley, and she says, you know, I like what's going on here, but you know that there's no boys that are allowed in your room. And then Ashley pulls something which I'm glad is being talked about. Well, he doesn't really, he's non-binary. That means that he goes with he, him. So he's not actually a boy in her room. Like, I don't think that Ashley was trying to get smart with her mom or trying to be manipulative, but it can't come off that way. But in this new generation, everyone is labeling themselves differently, and not just traditionally boy, traditionally girl, or woman, man, you know? So, hey, we're in a different time now. But Vivian just says, well, keep your door open. And she does. I don't know what Ashley's going to be like when she grows up a little bit more, but she's going to be a handful. So, Mama Vi and Will, they talk a little bit. Will shows him the box that Lewis gave him. Immediately, Vi is just turned off, seeing this old picture of her, him, and Will. Will says, the reason I called you out, not just because I missed you, but I really want you to meet with Lou. And she said, for what? I want you to sit down and talk. And answer questions. And just fill in some of the blanks. Vi's not really up to that, and just leave things the way that it is. So then Vi talks to Viv a little bit, and of course how Vi has always been hard on Vivian and her parenting style. They talking about the whole situation with Will. She is not pleased that Will has given up his basketball dreams. And she feels like, you know, your and Phil's parenting skills are a little soft. And she was just like, well, why did you let him walk out of basketball? And Vivian's like, what happened is Will started to think differently when he found out that Lou still had the dream of basketball and all that. Let him make his own decisions and all that. It's our job to listen to these vulnerable black boys when they are vulnerable, instead of just trying to force them into something that's just not going to be beneficial. I'm glad somebody's saying it. You're actually getting a boy that actually wants to talk about his feelings. A lot of things he was hiding from you, Vi, as you were working to try to put food on the table. And he was about to get a lot of years in jail. So I don't think that it's fair to just knock their parenting skills or whatever. Something's working and you're getting a young black boy that's able to articulate and communicate effectively to his mom, whether you receive it or not, as to what he's saying. He's a hothead sometimes, but that is balancing out, where he's able to talk out what is going on in his head, instead of living in his head and then becoming a terrorist out there on the streets. Phil and Jeffrey, they talk about Roman, and also Omar. Omar wants to buy Charlie's vinyl. That's a jazz place. Oh my Lord. So it is a form of gentrification, even though a black person is over the development, like you're taking away the soul of what's going on in South LA. I can't just excuse it because it's a black person coming in. Ashley and Hillary talk. They talk a little bit about her music. She reads some of her lines, and there was a particular line about sisters. It's about sisters. And she says, we're close, but so far at the same time. And Hillary was like, look, I know that we haven't been eye to eye about this whole Lamarcus situation and this jazz thing. I was going to tell him all that before his whole injury and whatever. I love him, and I want you to get on board, and I want to make you the maid of honor. Ashley does accept. And then Hillary was like, what's this that I heard that you were caught up with a boy in your room? And then Ashley was like, Mom is throwing this all out of proportion. Then we go on to Aunt Viv. She's trying to, it looks like yoga, meditate, and all that good stuff. Carlton interrupts, and she wants the parents to get to know, he wants the parents to get to know Amira. And Viv was like, well, after Aunt Vi leaves and the protest dies down, then we'll be open to spending some time with her and all that. And then Carlton manipulates and said, oh great, so I told her that she'll be at dinner tonight. Really, Viv is kind of like throwing him off a little bit, but at the same, and then Carlton's being aggressive about it, or passive aggressive about it, and kind of dropping it in Viv's lap that this has to happen and happen now. So Jazz and Phil comes by to visit Jazz and says that Omar wants to buy Charlie's, and Jazz says this place is not for sale. And then Phil says, how are you with the back taxes? He says, I'm losing sleep every night, resulting in all this. Phil says, look, it would be in your best interest to take this offer. You'll have some money and you can start all over. If in a couple weeks those taxes aren't paid, it'll be in the auction and you won't get anything. And Jazz was like, is this on behalf of Omar or is this just you talking? Da, 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 da. But Phil says, here's the contract. Hopefully you sign it. If I were you, I would take this offer. Vi comes back to Will and says, look, I will meet with Lou, but on my own terms. We're not going to bring him back here to this house with our drama. Let's go someplace neutral. And, of course, Will agrees to that. So later on that night, of course, Will is going to be meeting with his parents, and Carlton's going to be with his parents and Amira. And they're both feeling terrified because they don't know what's going to happen during these meeting times. But they both coach each other and wish each other luck. Phil sees Will before he goes or leaves, and he says, I'm impressed at how he's handling things. And he also says that you got this as far as this whole meeting with Lou and your mom. All right, so we finally meet who Roman is, and it is OG G himself from Fresh Prince of BelAir, Mr. Joseph Marcel. We first see him come in with these bodyguards. Roman does offer an apology. He says, I failed you and I let you down when the time that he was supposed to be watching the family. He went down for laundering money. He says, It starts getting heated a little bit between Jeffrey and Jeffrey, as I'm calling him. Penelope's like, look, we can talk about the past if we want. Let the past be the past. Like, let's stop, because we got other fish to fry right now. And basically they said, with Frederick, the best thing for him was to be in adoption in the system. And what made him become on the radar is when Jeffrey contacted him and brought him to LA, and also when he got in contact with Penelope. And now they know exactly where he is. He says that the organization has fallen on hard times, and what does the organization want out of Jeffrey? They want him back. And if he does not comply, then Frederick is going to be the one that has to pay. Will be the price. All right, this whole Lou, Will, and Vi situation. Lou finally just talks about his life. He talks about their last meeting. Will says, hey, you really pissed me off that you were trying to mock because I wanted something more for my life. Lou goes into his life and says, hey, my dad, he was locked up. He ended up dying in prison. And a year later, my mom passed away. He then moved in with his grandparents. You see the parallel that was going on? My grandfather tried to keep me in line, but by my junior year, I dropped out of high school. And I left behind basketball, which he did love. And that was the only thing good in my life, and I went to the streets. And what I see is that my son is making the same mistakes, and I cannot do anything about it. But I'm not seeing the correlation there. Okay, basketball. Basically, right now, Will has more choices than just basketball. Not saying that he don't love the sport or whatever, but y'all got to give him some credit a little bit, Lou. So I didn't understand why he thought that his story was the same. He's getting offered different opportunities than that. So we switch over to Carlton and the parents. Amira doesn't show up. And Carlton's really let down and embarrassed. And of course, the food is sitting there, and he says, well, let's just eat. Amira ends up showing up hours later in a very weird position. Carlton's ready to go off, and he's like, you put me in a position, and da-da-da-da-da. And she ends up saying, this today or this week or whatever is the anniversary of my sister's death. I think Viv had came down at that point, and Carlton was like, I didn't know. Like, his whole attitude changed and all that. He gave her a big hug, and Vivian was there to assist and whatever. Vivian says, if you need anything, please let us know and all that, da-da-da-da-da. Lou, back to Lou. Will wanted to know what happened to get him arrested. So they talked about old times. At this point in his life when Lou got arrested, they were on hard times. Vi was fed up. It was 5 days and they had no heat. And Vi said, I'm not going to be with no man that's not able to, I'm not going to be able to sit in the situation with a man as we sit here and be frozen to death. Or, that we're freezing. Basically, go handle something, go do something. Lou took that as indication, as a man, I got to go do something right now for my family. So, of course, everything is aligned with Lou robbing this guy. That's not what happened, technically. This guy owed him some money for a job that Lou did. And things got a little rough, and he ended up robbing. He said he regrets the situation, but he doesn't regret trying to provide for his family. Will thanked Lou for telling that side, or telling his story, because that just changes how he actually was feeling. He just thought that he was just out on the streets doing whatever, and that wasn't the case. And it just changes the narrative in his mind concerning Lou. Jeffrey and Phil, they talk, and Phil's like, you're not really considering going back to the organization. Jeffrey says that it's my priority right now is to keep everyone safe, and right now we got to do something. I have to do something to make things right. All right, back at Jazz's record place, he's talking, I think, with the same political lady, and he was talking about, or the woman was talking about, back in the days when his uncle was running the shop, that the Panthers used to come here and they would have the meetings, they would eat, drink, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of history here. And the woman says, you got a little bit more hustle in you. And if you sell this place, what hope are you giving to the rest of us? So Will and Vi, later on, they did hug. Will hugged Lou and all that good stuff. Lou hugged him. I think Vi stayed over to the side, whatever. So the next day, Will and Vi, they talk a little bit, and she apologizes to Will. She says that she allowed her problems with Lou to become Will's problems. And she says that I don't want to be the one to clip your wings, and I'm not going to stand in your way if you want a relationship with Lou. And they hug, and I think that that was the best thing. I'm glad that there's a different narrative even from Fresh Prince, because all we know is Lou ended up just being a disappointment and all that, and they just said F Lou and all that, but how the writers turned that around to making at least Lou be redeemable and trying to work himself back into a relationship with his son. I loved it. I really loved it. Carlton and Amira talk a little bit about that, about the whole situation and all that. You know, I want to be there for you, Amira. I don't want you to disappear like that. Amira ends up sharing her location, and this is a way to kind of solidify themselves to each other, and they say that they love each other, and Carlton wants to love all of her. Jazz sends the contract back to Uncle Phil and says that I still got a little hustle left in me. I said, go ahead, Jazz. Fight for Charlie's. Jeffrey has a counter offer for Roman. We see that Jeffrey has cut open this boxing bag, that beanbag thing, and there's a lot of money there. And he says, look, you said that the organization is having hard times. Here's my counter offer. They need to take this. And Roman's like, well, what if they don't? They're going to have to. You're going to have to do what you have to do to make it work. And then he says, goodbye, Roman. Later on, Will and Lou, Will is playing basketball and Lou joins him on the court, and they have a little basketball time with each other. I really love this. Look, I had my own thoughts about Lou, but I'm loving the switch up and turning the narrative. And I'm loving the progress and that Will is taking oh my God, in just 3 seasons. This season is so bomb. Y'all need to watch it. Please watch it. Shout out to the cast and crew. Everybody's doing a phenomenal job, as I said before. Again, I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel and your support. Support this channel by liking this video and also subscribe to my channel and leave your comments below. Until the next video, peace.